Welcome back to the Ryan Dunstan Podcast, Words from a Humble King. Man, doesn't it seem like 2024 has been an uphill climb? For whatever reason, I just feel like many people are having a rough go at it this first quarter of the year. Myself included. I mean, listen, I don't mean to project my experiences upon anyone. So please, if you're having the best year of your life, more power to you. But I don't know. I just feel the nudge to touch on today's topic because I truly believe 2024 has not started the way we thought it should have, And I mean, look at the state of our country. So many disagreements, so many tragedies, so many misunderstandings, so many disappointments, layoffs, killings, religious division, extremism, whether you're on the left or the right, financial burdens, not being where you think you should be at this point in your life. I mean, you name it. And I honestly believe a lot of people are silently struggling. And not just with one problem, but with a multitude of problems. And you'll never know it. But I do feel this is the case. So for this reason, I feel like I got a good one for God's children today, which is the irrational decision to trust God in the darkness. Let's dig in. Now, before we get into the thick of things here, I want to explore this word trust because I honestly believe it's hard to trust anyone about anything in today's day and age, And I think if that's the case, it's going to be really hard to trust a God you can't see, a God that's invisible. And I feel there's a few reasons for this. Number one, misinformation. We have information overload right now. We have access to so much information. Something's bound to be untrue. And I can't imagine the disappointment that anyone would feel following the wrong direction, following the wrong leader, following the wrong information. And all of this leads you to a dead end, or it leads you to a setback. And then there's the shame and the guilt that you'll have to deal with because of the humiliation of being wrong. And I've said it before, more than a few times, shame and guilt is a difficult thing to deal with. It will wreck any future. It's difficult to navigate through. And that will most certainly cause some trust issues on the back end of all of that. Number two, when we're talking about God, naturally, there's always going to be misinformation, causing some sort of misunderstanding. And I mean, think about it here. If Jesus is the light, and the moment the light shines in one area, it automatically causes darkness from the shadows generated in another area, right? I mean, think about it. Turn the light on in any room in your home. The moment you turn the light on, you'll see shadows appear in hidden areas of the room. And isn't this the case in our faith? So it isn't. It's easy to see how evil is a byproduct of goodness. And with evil working in the hidden areas of misinformation and the access we have, so much access we have to some of this misinformation, you begin to see the unfortunate reality of mistrust emerging. Number three, sometimes, man, our circumstances can make us feel like God doesn't love us. I know I've been there. I mean, my past has been rough, boy, I tell you. And I've talked about it here a few times on different episodes. And those thoughts of, is God real? Then how could this happen or that happen? Especially when it feels like it's one thing after another, nonstop. And you find yourself asking God, am I your child? And if I'm your child, then why are you allowing all these things to happen to me? Right? The last thing you want to be is a victim, but when things just keep happening and it's out of our control, and it's natural for a mind to begin to look for reasoning. And you try your best not to look to the left or to the right, measuring yourself to others that look like they may be doing better than you. And trying your best, to ask God, why are you blessing them and not blessing me? You know what I mean? Looking for some sort of understanding. I know you felt it. Don't leave me out there hanging. But that's another future killer, measuring yourself to other people. And when you throw in the wars across this globe, And the endless killings and the starvation, the greed, the racism, the hatred, the fear, the rejection. When you throw all these things in the mix, your mind naturally begins to wonder. And with all these things being considered, you begin to see how hard it is to trust in the dark, right? So, how do we trust? How do we trust a God that allows all these things to happen? Now, I can't claim to know all the answers. I'm not God, but I'll talk from my own personal experience. And I start with the acceptance of doubt, because doubt isn't a lack of belief. Doubt is uncertainty. My doubt is the in-between areas of my life, right? The in-between on how you're going to do this one, God, because I've never seen it done before, right? We've all had those areas where we've questioned how. Doubt is me questioning how. How am I going to make it through this one? Doubt is me allowing my humanity to be present within my spirituality. Doubt is my flesh's skepticism in the new intimidating moments of my life. And we all have those sorts of moments. We all have those kinds of thoughts. For me, one thing that grinds my gears is when church folk think that because we're children of God, that somehow exempts us from the human experience or human thoughts, etc. Now, not me. I start with my humanity because we're human. We have to live in our flesh. And I do my best to allow God to shape and mold me in the proper understanding, of myself in the comparison to my spirit. And this is a process, but this allows a true relationship with God. A God who understands I still have my flesh to deal with and ultimately deny. Dr. Daniel says this. He says, faith is not a denial of your reality. It's the belief that God will change it. Now, I believe God ultimately changes us. He changes you, which gives you the power to change the reality. But I can trust a God who understands my humanity. I can trust a God who understands my human experience, because I just believe that real recognizes real. And now we're talking truth. And truth is a big deal in any relationship. And the truth of the matter is, there has really been moments in my humanity that I wasn't saved from, but that He did bring me through. And then there were moments, both in my youth, let's be honest, but then also in my adult size and maturity, right? That I shake my head at myself sometimes about all the things I know I probably shouldn't have been able to make it out of or able to avoid. Things I probably should be dead from, locked up from in my youth, fired from, and some more stuff. And when you think with truth, it's not like He surprised us with all of this. I mean, He does admit that we will have trouble here on earth, but He'll be a present help in need. That's in the Bible. Sure, there's some unexplainable events that happen in life, but I'd be a fool not to give Him credit for some of the things I know full well I made it through. And then there was some miracles in my life, man. I tell you, I talk all the time about some of the things that happened in my family, my past, that I should be dead, in jail, addicted to drugs, something. And I'm pretty sure that if you were to move the emotions to the side just for a second, I'm pretty sure that you could see Him in the darker areas of your life too. Man, that's just the truth. Now let's talk about the way we speak, because I know you've heard it said before that the power in life and death is in the tongue. And psychology says the same thing too, just in a different way. Psychology says linguistic framing or linguistic relativity, look it up, has a significant impact on shaping our experiences, our attitudes, our emotions. Self-talk can result in positive or negative framing of our circumstances, shaping our perception, our emotional regulation, and even our relationships, influencing our cognitive biases, which ultimately impacts the way we interpret our experiences. Every religion touches on self-talk and human behavior, which means it's impossible to believe positively if you're going to speak negatively. And in our faith, God says that He doesn't cause negativity, but he does use it. It doesn't cause pain, but he uses it. Example of framing the human experience, taking the growth out of the negative circumstances, finding the good in it, which can be hard to do, no doubt, but faith is built, which means we have to start somewhere. And I know for me, my own personal experiences and my faith walk with God, every negative circumstance has made me stronger. And I'm sure this is the same for you. Shucks, man, listen, it's dark for me right now, for God's sakes. And it's extremely uncomfortable. And in some cases, it's painful. But I know he's working, because I have to sit in meditation and prayer and ask him for understanding. Understanding of me, understanding of my doubt, understanding of others, understanding of my surroundings, understanding of my failures, understanding in my waiting periods. And as time goes by, you just start to notice your patience build and your confidence evolve, your endurance building, your interpretation of others expanding as you forgive. You start to acknowledge your strength with every negative moment you make it through or overcome. Then you look back and say to yourself, dang, I guess God did know what he was doing. I guess I can trust him. I just got to check my feelings. This is the Ryan Dunstan Podcast, and these are words from a humble king. Talk to you later.